Hey, it's me again. What's happening? Some of the things that I actually never think about come off as a big surprise to some people, and sometimes I forget what people know or don't know. Here's a good question. Why the hell would anybody have, a $6,000 Nikkor 300 millimeter f2.8 lens when they could just have some sort of 70 to 300? Well, I'll just rack that 70 to 300, out to 300 millimeters, and that'll be the same thing. Why the hell would I want to have, a $6,000 300 millimeter f2.8? Not only is the lens insanely expensive, it is absolutely obnoxiously huge. Every lens has its own intent and purpose. Everything does. It's like, well, the reason that lens is so expensive is because it's f2.8, it's faster lens. Is that really the reason? That's the attribute of the lens, but that's not what people, when people look at a picture, they don't go, oh shit, that was taken with a 2.8, 300, No, they don't. That's not what's going on. Obviously the lens is faster, which means that you can have faster shutter speeds handheld, especially with vibration reduction on. But that's the ultimate product, is the picture, is the image that's created, made manifest through one's imagination and the correct lighting. That's not the reason. Every lens has its own characteristics. Now here, for example, we have the new Voigtlander 58mm f1.4. This is a better portrait lens. This lens is incredible. It's perfect for FX use, DX use, and it's perfect, absolutely perfect. It's even better than the than the 1000. I have that lens, the 56mm f1.2 Fujifilm. Now, obviously, this is a manual focus lens. Some people have issues with manual focus lenses. Why the hell, since this is the Voigtlander 58mm Nocton, why would anybody use this as opposed to, say, the 50 to 140 f2.8 Fujifilm lens? Not only does that cover 58 millimeters, it's also autofocus. It has image stabilization. Why? Well, this is faster. It's f1. Is that really the reason why? Is that the reason why? Let's say the 50 to 140 was also a 1.4 lens, which it would be absolutely gigantic if it was a 1.4. So let's say it's as fast as this lens. Let's say it's as fast, okay, which of course it's not. Why would you go to the trouble of even using or having or owning a lens like this? Actually is one of the things that most people don't get. They know that primes are better, but they don't know why primes are better. And then they think, well, I've already got that range covered. And it's like, no, you got that range covered, but you don't actually have, that focal length covered with what this can produce. This has incredible micro contrast. It's absolutely the tits for black and white photography. It produces bubble bokeh. It produces an absolutely unique foreground and background out of focus image that the 50 to 140 or any other lens cannot produce. It is its own flavor. That's like saying a 2-pound cake is a 2-pound cake. It's like, no, that's a 2-pound cake with marmalade, then that's a 2-pound cake with, fudge. That's like, well, 2-pound cake, focal length. So I talk about 2-pound cake and a 2. It's the same thing. People think, well, I've got that range covered. It's like, do you? Each lens has its own characteristics. There are a million different places on this earth, more than a million, that fix spaghetti. Some of them are famous. Very few of them are famous. Most of them are not. They just like cook up the spaghetti. Some places, perhaps, people keep returning there and demanding, why the hell would they do that? For $5 you can buy a huge pot of spaghetti. Why the hell would people spend, $30 for a plate of spaghetti? Because that person makes homemade sauce and they cook it a certain way, and it's just, wow, that's the shit. And they recommend it to everybody. Why? It's still spaghetti, right? Same focal length, right? Now, I've got the Fuji 60mm over there, which this is 58mm, that's 60mm Fuji. Same focal length, basically. That's an f2.4, this is an f1.4. Let's say that they're both 1.4. Okay? That lens, even though it's autofocus, cannot produce images like this. Now, that is a macro lens. This is not. Let's just forget about that fact for a second. Talk about for portraiture. That can't make what this makes. It can't. Lens design and the additives that go into lenses for their design, the ultimate output in the image, are radically different. You could take the exact same image taken with two cameras taped together, one with this lens and the other with the, take this lens at f2.8. Okay, let's shoot both of them at f2.8. The exact same millisecond the image is taken, the exact same shot. People will look at the image output from the two and they're just radically different. Radically different. That's an awesome lens. The Fuji 60mm f2.4 is Fuji's most undervalued awesome lens. That lens is nothing to sneeze at. This lens, however, if you take the exact same shot in the exact same millisecond with another camera taped right beside the other camera, will produce a radically different image. People don't understand that. Every lens design is a trade-off. There's some lenses that are really good for close-up work, but they're not worth a shit for shooting off at distance. You know, I have some lenses like that. I use them specifically for 2 foot to 10 feet. 10 feet's even the max. Usually like 2 feet to 4 or 5 feet. That's what they're good for. That's what they're best at. You know? That's what they're best at. While you can be used and focused out to infinity, you know, they're pretty damn useless out to that range. I never use them for that. I know what each lens's intent and purpose is, and when they fall outside of that, I'll grab another lens that is designed perfectly for that. Just because there's an infinity on your lens doesn't mean that lens is worth a shit at infinity. However, that lens, for example, might just be awesome. Between like 1.5 feet to 5 feet. When you have some specular bokeh in the background, that lens will just, it will floor you. It's so incredible. But, you know, say 10 feet to infinity, that lens doesn't matter what sort of photographer you are, what the shot is, that lens just basically is not worth a shit. From 10 feet to infinity, even though that exists on the scale of the lens, obviously so. So these are the important characteristics that I actually have to build into designing the website, and I already know that, but I've now developed the perfect system for talking about the specific attributes of a lens and what they are good for and what they're not good for, and that information is of paramount importance. Someone could say, well, this lens has 7 elements, and who gives a shit, you know? What I need to do is actually state, hey, this lens is good for this, but it's not good for that. You know, you think, well, this is a 60mm lens. Well, no, it's like this is a manual focus lens. This lens is for portraiture. This lens is for stills. This lens has blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's perfect for this, this, and this, but it isn't worth a crap for this, this, and that. And that is how I can be the most helpful to people. Nobody needs a list of specifications. This lens has 7 elements and 9 round. Yeah, isn't that great? How about some test shots? But specifically tell people what the hell the lens is best for. Because one of the things that people do, they might buy a perfectly awesome lens, but what they plan on using it for, it might not be any damn good for that. The lens might be great for use between 2 feet and 5 feet with specular bokeh, but the lens isn't worth a shit at distance, or vice versa. The lens might be great for distance, but you plan on using it close up, screw that, the lens sucks. And many telephoto zooms are like that too. It's like, wow, that lens is awesome, but don't use it close. If you can use something close, use this lens. Those are all the nuances that you will never find on any website. Even people that review lenses, they won't even tell you that shit. I really don't know of any photography site that reviews lenses that really says, hey, this lens is best for this, this, and this, but even though it'll work for this, this, and this, don't even think about it for that because it's just not that damn good for that. They don't tell you that shit, and that's the shit I am going to tell you in building the website and actually talking about each lens. So I've finally come full circle and figured out the best way to be the most useful in doing the lens reviews and write-ups, so they can be of most use to people. Okay, thanks for watching. I'm on vacation, by the way, so I'll be back in 12 days. I'll be back, so okay, 12 days from now we'll be back.